adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. Starring that jet-A Jerry Lace, Rocket J. Squirrel, and his pal, Bullwinkle the Moose.
Hi, glad to see you again.
Likewise.
We got some great things on the show today.
Like what? Like what?
Well, you ought to know, Bullwinkle. You're in some of them.
Well, let's get started.
Our story opens today in the beautiful little village of Frostbite Falls, Minnesota, where That's Frostbite Falls? Where our heroes, Rocky and Bullwinkle, are,
Which way'd they go, Black Eagle?
Go that way.
Come on, Sheriff. We'll head 'em off at Eagle Pass.
Now, wait a minute. That isn't the Rocky show. Can we do...
Check the monitor, will you, Jim?
I got it. We're all clear here.
Well, you got the crossover made?
Yeah, I can't think why it's...
Well, look, see if you can trace it on line 12, will you?
Right.
One moment, ladies and gentlemen, please. We seem to have a Western on in place of the Rocky show.
Hey, somebody's hooked up number 27 here.
Well, you better pull it, Jim.
Okay.
That's better. Now, who could have
I
done...
cannot tell a lie. More's the pity. I did it.
You did it, but why, Bullwinkle?
Because I'm just crazy about westerns.
You're just crazy, period.
Can I help it if I'm a cowboy at heart?
But you're already a big television hero type.
Yeah, but why don't I ever get to wear a big hat like Two-Gun Twombly?
Well, there's a good reason.
I'm not a U.S. Marshal?
No, your antlers are in the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it looked as if the nearest Bullwinkle would ever get to the Wild West was on his television set.
You aim to draw, stranger?
You said it, Trampus.
Then make your play.
All right, I just...
Oh! He got me!
Bullwinkle, what's the matter?
That's the third time this season he outdrew me.
Yeah, but that's
I
just...
must be slipping.
You're just
Bottom gun, that's me.
Yes, Bullwinkle was cowboy happy, all right. Every morning he'd rope the milk in off the front porch. Every evening he watched the television from his saddle, and at night he even took to wearing his spurs to bed.
Ow! That does it! No more westerns for a week, Bullwinkle.
No more westerns. I can't kick the habit cold like this.
Come, Bullwinkle. Are you a moose or a mouse?
I've been awful afraid of cats lately.
Well...
Oh, come on, Rocky. Just one itsy-bitsy teeny-weeny peek at Two-Gun Twombly rides again.
Well, just this once.
You gonna draw, stranger?
I was fixing to.
Then make your play.
All right, I just...
Well, now you've done it.
I sure have. I beat him.
But Bullwinkle...
Top gun again, fast as in the west.
We're in
The
the north.
northwest.
But look at the TV.
I can't. It's bust, and I... Bust? Oh, what have I done?
Yes, the TV that was bust meant a whole new life for Bullwinkle. For after only a week of staring at the silent set, he began to read raunchy ranch tales, cowhand comics, side saddle stories, the evening paper.
How'd that get in there?
Bullwinkle, you gotta get your mind on something besides westerns.
Well, okay, I'll read the want ads instead.
Thank goodness.
But even that seemed to be a bad idea, for Bullwinkle's eye immediately lit on a very interesting ad indeed.
Look at this, Rocky. For sale, Lazy J Ranch, 1,000 acres of top bottomland.
Your chance to go west fast. Box 1313, Squaws Ankle, Wyoming.
Full price, $28.
Solid question. $28. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything about ranching.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it is a new adventure.
Yeah.
And the rating on our show's been slipping a little.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
I figured if I waited long enough, you'd be back. Let's go!
But if only our boys had looked at the front page of the paper as well, they would have seen that they were headed directly for trouble, real trouble. Don't miss our next episode, Fast and Moose, or The Quick and the Dead.
You've probably never heard of the Clinker family. They lived in Holland many, many years ago. That's their little house right under the windmill. In fact, windmills are Papa Clinker's specialty. He repairs them. But not very well.
Papa, the windmill just fell down.
Is it still turning around?
Yeah, but it's turning around underground.
Who cares so long as it's still turning?
Papa and Mama Clinker had two lovely children, a girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, and a little boy with blue hair and blonde eyes. The girl's name was Brunhilde, which in Dutch means she who steps on tulips. The little boy, oddly enough, had no name at all, until one day...
Brunhilde! Yeah, Mama? Go wash your hands.
Brunhilde promptly dunked her brother in the washtub, and that's how Hans Clinker got his name.
Hans, today you are 3 years old, and it's time you got a job.
Okay, mein Papa. I will deliver papers.
Unfortunately, the papers Hans delivered belonged to his father, and they were of the legal variety, such as mortgage on the house, insurance policies, liberty bonds.
Hans, baby, this morning you was 3 years old, and I think already it's time you change jobs.
So, little Hans went to work down at the waterfront.
Yeah, that's right, little boy. All you gotta do is keep your finger stuck in the hole in the dam.
But why, sir?
Well, if there is no finger in the dam, the water will pour through and flood the country.
A job as a dam plugger didn't pay very much, but you did go home with a very clean finger. But alas, a tourist came by seeking the whereabouts of the nearest Travelers' Aid Society. Hans pointed.
Hans, this morning you was 3 years old and you got your first job. This afternoon you was 3 years old and you changed jobs. Tonight you are still 3 years old and you're going into retirement.
But mein Papa, I am too young to be idle. The boy is right, Papa. He needs a vacation. Vocation, Mama.
All right already. What would you like to do, Hans?
I want to be a tubaphone player. And what's a tubaphone? It's a tuba with a phone inside it. Listen.
The sounds that filled the air had a strange, soothing effect, not only on Papa, Mama, and Brunhilde, but also on the cows and the chickens. Hans Clinker was a born musician.
Of course. I could only play a few notes. But if I could study at the Amsterdam Conservatory of Music... How much would that cost? 50 million klunkels.
That astronomical figure caused Papa Clinker to take a fast nap in the center of the living room.
Why doesn't Hans try and win 50 million klunkels in the Zuider Zee skating contest?
Yes, once each year, the icy blasts of winter transformed the Zuider Zee into a sheet of ice. Youngsters from all over the Netherlands put on their skates and entered the big race, a race which netted the victor 50 million klunkels.
Good luck, Hans. You can win, Hans.
Oh, it grieves me sorely to relate that Hans Clinker finished dead last. This was due to two things. One, he lacked the speed of most Dutch boys his age, and two, he lacked a pair of skates.
Don't worry, Hans, Pupchen, there's always next year.
But again, it was the same story. Last in a field of 3,000.
I don't understand it, Papa. Even with a new pair of skates, I couldn't win.
Perhaps if you was to wear them on your feet instead of your elbows.
Hans tried that the following year, and it did help a little. He came in next to last, barely beating out an octogenarian who had fallen through a hole in the ice.
It's no use. I never got to study at the Amsterdam Conservatory.
And off he trudged into the snow-covered forest. Winter turned to spring, spring turned to summer, and still Hans walked.
I am worried about our boy, Papa.
Which boy is that, Mama?
You know, Hans.
Oh, yeah, Hans. Whatever happened to him?
What happened to him was this. Hans walked right out of Holland into Denmark. Now, you've all heard the saying, something is rotten in Denmark? Well, the something that was rotten was an old castle that had been sitting on top of a hill for centuries and centuries. And inside, there was a sleeping giant. And just above the giant hung a pair of skates.
Why, there are silver skates. If I had those skates, I know I could win the Zuider Zee race.
Ah, but how do you make off with a pair of skates that are guarded by a sleeping giant?
This is how.
seconds later, Hans and the skates were on their way back to Holland. Well, all fairy tales have happy endings, and this one is no exception. Hans and the silver-plated skates won the next Z race, and with the 50 million klunkels, Hans entered the Amsterdam Conservatory of Music, where he played tubaphone in the symphony orchestra. And oh, how grand the conductor led his musicians. Although he did hit a clinker every once in a while.
Oh, dear.
What's the trouble, Bullwinkle?
I can't get any newspapers to run stories about the fan club.
Why don't we publish our own newspaper then?
That's it, Rock.
Did I hear newspaper? Permit me to introducing myself. William Randolph Hearst.
William Randolph Hearst?
That's my pen name. I used to write obituary column. Later, I won Pulitzer Prize.
Oh, Beth.
What do we name the paper?
How about the Bullwinkle and Rocky Fan Club Weekly Gazette and Star Express?
Well, that takes care of the front page.
He's right, Bullwinkle. Why don't we just call it the news?
That's catchy.
I didn't know you knew how to type, Bullwinkle.
Nothing to it.
Clee booty ferglers up, pretty eagle?
Of course, that's just the first draft.
Look, Chief, hot scoops. Mysterious bomber demolishes warehouse. Mad fiend burns old folks' home.
Express train derailed. Great reporting, Boris. When did these happen?
Any time now. I'm working on it. Rocky, Bullwinkle, I just got some ads for the paper.
Gee, that's great, Captain. How much money did you take in?
Take in? You mean they're supposed to pay us?
Well, staff, here's our first edition. Now, what are we going to do about circulation?
We could rub our hands together. That might help.
What we need is a good, hard-working, ambitious sales manager.
That sounds just like you, Bullwinkle.
Well,
All those in favor of making Bullwinkle sales manager, say aye.
Aye! This isn't exactly what I had in mind. Private Bullwinkle, sir, with a message.
Just in time.
Is it important?
Is it? Just look.
In the mountainous region of northwest Canada, at the close of the 19th century, perched on a particular mountain overlooking a gorge, Snidely, Whiplash, and Homer sat waiting.
What are we doing here, Snidely?
You see this particular rock, Homer?
Yeah?
Well, this is called flicker rock, because it is so delicately balanced that with a flick of your finger you can send it hurtling to the ground below.
So?
Well, I happen to know that Dudley Do-Right always rides under this rock at exactly 4:33 CMT, Canadian Mountain Time. So when he passes under the rock, I give it a flick and no more Do-Ride.
Gee, Snidely, that's an unpleasant thing to do.
4:32, 4:33, flick!
Anything unusual happened today, Do-Right?
No, Inspector. Except after I rode out of the gorge, I had a very peculiar ringing in my head. How did you do that, Inspector?
Do what?
That thing you did with the birds and the bells.
Birds and bells? Are you feeling all right, Dudley?
We'll all be killed! Look out for the train, Inspector! You certainly are a cool one, Inspector. You just sat there and let that train whiz right by you.
Dudley?
Yes, Inspector?
There was no train in this room.
No train, but I saw it. There was this chugga-chuggity, you know.
Dudley, there was no train, there were no birds, there were no bells.
Well, how about that horrible creature sitting on top of your head right now?
Where? What?
Don't worry, Inspector. I'll kill it.
Guards! Guards, arrest him!
Wait. Look out, here comes another train!
Will you Mounties come out from under that table and take this nut away?
That engineer must be mad.
What was that all about, Father?
I can't understand it. It was his old zippy do-right self this morning.
Oh, look out there. Here they come again there.
Dudley, what happened to you?
Why, nothing, Nell. I was just riding home by my usual route, and I felt a slight tingling sensation on my head. Look out!
Is it a mouse?
Nope, it's a 16-foot polar bear. Strange, polar bears this time of year, but it's all right, Nell. It walked on by.
Polar bear? Oh, Dudley, you're sick. I'm going to find out how this horrible thing happened to you.
All right, Nell, but wait till these buffaloes go by.
So Nell set out retracing Dudley Do-Right's route to camp, hoping to find the reason for Dudley's strange behavior.
That's odd. Flicker Rock is missing. But wait a minute. There it is, with a tremendous dent in its side. It was flicked, and I'll bet the flicker who flicked Flicker Rock was you, Snidely Whiplash.
But, Nell, I only meant to flatten him. I didn't mean him any real harm.
Well, you did him harm.
Homer, this is terrible.
What's so terrible? Do-Right's a kook.
But it was bad enough being chased by a sane Do-Right, but to be chased by some nut. I must confess, I did flick Flicker Rock. But after I flicked Flicker Rock, I had a moment of regret. You don't know how relieved I was when Dudley Do-Right of the Mounties rode on, head up, body erect, and now a hopeless nut.
A dangerous maniac.
We've got to help him, Homer. We've got to help that boy.
Is he muzzled? Nell, what are you doing with that 6-foot weasel?
You see, Homer, he doesn't like me.
And that gopher in the baggy pants.
He ain't exactly in love with me, neither.
But that's all right, Nell, because the birds are taking over the world. Soon there won't be another living thing, just these horrible birds.
Oh, for goodness sake. So you see, Nell, if we take him back here to the scene of the crime...
Watch your mouth.
So to speak, perhaps it would all come back to him.
Oh, my head, such a head. Wow-wee, what a headache. Say, it's all coming back. Somebody bounced a rock off my head, and that somebody could only be you, Snidely Whiplash.
Come on, Doctor. He's cured.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dudley.
Nell, you mean I'm completely cured? I'll never see those birds again?
Yes, Dudley. As soon as you realized it was Snidely who pushed the rock, you were cured.
No, the birds are back! The birds are back!
Can I have it? I've decided to become a pigeon fancier. Every man has a right to a hobby.
Bullwinkle's urge to go west was pretty serious, all right, particularly when he shot out the TV tube trying to outdraw Two-Gun Twomley.
Fastest gun in the West.
Unfortunately, he was the slowest TV repairman and not too bright.
Oh, he looked pretty bright to me.
And so our boys were reduced to, reading in the evening.
Dick and Jane see the dog.
Wild.
But then Bullwinkle came across a want ad that changed his whole life.
For sale, ranch-style ranch, 1,000 acres, $28 full price.
Low down payment.
And in less time than it takes to tell, our boys were on their way to Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming. Alas, if they had only glanced at the front page, they might have changed their minds, for at that moment a fearful monster was ravaging Squaw's Ankle. But little knowing the fate that awaited them, our heroes slumbered fitfully on a speeding cross-country train. Rocky in an upper and Bullwinkle in a lower.
Gee, I just can't sleep, Rock.
You that excited, Bullwinkle?
No, my torso keeps dragging on the ties. Ooh!
The train roared on through the night, and next day arrived at Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming.
Well, here's where we get off, Bullwinkle.
Right, Rock.
Bullwinkle, are you hurt?
Yeah, I think I got eternal injuries.
You mean internal injuries.
I mean eternal injuries. I'm always getting hurt.
Howdy, strangers. Give you a lift to town?
Yeah, but first give me a lift into the wagon.
And so a little while later, our heroes found themselves in the friendly western town of Squaw's Ankle.
You fellers fixing to stay on a piece?
On a piece of what?
Bullwinkle, he means are we here to stay?
None of us are here to stay, Rock.
I mean...
We all gotta go sometime.
Mighty glad to have you with us, Rocky. Aren't we, folks?
Yes, well, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
You too, Bullwinkle.
Likewise.
Just where you figuring on staying while you're here?
Well, we bought a ranch just outside of town.
Why, that's wonderful. Ain't it, folks?
He said it.
What ranch did you buy?
It's called the Lazy J.
The Lazy J!
Oh! That's great, ain't it, folks? Folks?
Gee, Bullwinkle, everybody left.
Not everybody, Rocky. Look there.
Sure enough, a lone figure still remained, holding a pencil and paper.
I bet you want our autograph, don't you?
No, I'd just like your measurements.
Measurements?
Must be one of those tailor fellas.
My card, gentlemen.
Uh-oh. Dudley Digg, licensed undertaker.
6'2" overall.
No, not overalls. Something a little sportier.
Waist 36.
I'd like a little padding in the shoulders, too.
Oh, you'll get padding from head to toe.
How about a belt in the back?
Bullwinkle, he's an undertaker.
I don't want to tell you how to run your business, mister, but aren't you a little early with that tape measure?
Just a few hours.
A few hours?
See you a little later.
Yeah.
Though, of course, you won't see me.
Gee, the sun must be down, Bullwinkle. All of a sudden, I feel a little chilly. How about you?
Just my feet, Brock.
We better go find our ranch before it gets dark.
I'm with you.
Stick close to me, Bullwinkle.
If I was any closer, I'd be on the other side of you.
And our boys began to move through the deserted town on their way to the Lazy J Ranch. Little did they know that stark terror awaits them there.
Funny, he said he'd meet us at the train.
Be with us next time for Buzzard Bait or the Carrion Call.
Well, I guess that about wraps up another Rocky show.
Certainly hope you enjoyed it. I did. I always say.
Bullwinkle, time for us to go.
Already? Okay, but first, here are some of the people who made this show impossible. Get tired. Oop! Got away from me again.
Well, see you next time. Ready, Bullwinkle?